In 1997, Korean Airlines Flight 801 crashed into a mountain upon trying to land in Guam. The National Transportation Safety Board did an investigation into what happened. They found out it was pilot error. The pilot did not execute a precision approach upon landing. Also, it was found that the first officer and the safety engineer both noticed that the pilot's directional approach was off, but they did not say anything, because in that culture, you do not make requests of your superior. So the result of not making that critical request, the flight crashed and everyone on board died. That's how powerful requests are. Looking at what are speech acts, and speech acts are conversation elements that produce action. Language is what we use to coordinate action and to actually proclaim a new future. Today, specifically, we're going to be looking, as we spoke about at the beginning, at the elements of an effective request. And then we're going to do a little exercise and do a group discussion to find out what we learned. Okay, so language is the coordination of action with others. Language, again, generates our future reality. So there's 6 specific speech acts that we use in our everyday life. You may not even be aware of them. First one is requests, promises, offers, declarations, assessments, and assertions. Now let's look more closely at what requests are. So, when we are talking about what it looks like to make a powerful request, one of the biggest important things is it direct? We don't want to cushion our requests under apologetic language. Kelly, if you don't mind, oh gosh, oh, you're probably too busy, but could you maybe walk my dog after work? Be direct. Tell the listener what you need. Another element, is it clear? Does myself as a speaker know exactly what I'm asking of my listener? And do I know that my listener will be able to understand and execute my request? Is it clear? And does my request give the listener an option for saying yes, no, or the ability to make a counter offer? That's really important, especially in organizations, and we'll go into that. Okay, so let's dig in. What are the specifics when we're looking at making an effective request? What are the specific elements that we need? And the first one is, myself as a requester, I need to be a committed speaker and know exactly what I'm asking and why. I also need a committed listener. So, how many of you have kids? Have you ever heard this before? Yeah, Mom, okay, yeah, I'll get that done, There you go. That's one form of a distracted listener. Secondly, emails. Today's world, we are text and an email world. That's kind of our reality. I mean, it's very rare now that we have a face-to-face conversation, except for if we're face-to-face at work conversation, but most of our action and our work is done over emails and texts. We don't have a committed listener over that other end. We have no idea when that person is picking up our email, what kind of mood they're in, when they're listening to it or reading it. And in fact, this just happened to me today, actually. I had texted a friend and asked him for very specific information. His wife works for an agency where I was trying to get some information from. And I wrote him and I said, please let me know if I can have a quick 5-minute conversation with you via phone. Never heard back from him in 3 weeks. And so today I got a call from this guy. He goes, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I get so many texts, and today I was strolling through my text feed and there you were. But in the meantime, I had made up a story of what a jerk he was because he didn't get back to me. So when we don't have a committed listener, it oftentimes we start making up stories of why this person isn't getting back to us, and we create our own brain stuff around it. Another element of an effective request, a future action is required. So something is missing. We are looking for something to be completed. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm going to spend a little more time in this one because it's time, and that's very important. So, for example, when we are making requests, how often are we being super specific with the time frame in which we need the request done? So for instance, ASAP is kind of vague. What does ASAP mean? And this again is super important in emails. So often, and I find myself doing this, is what's good for you? You know, what works for you? That's a real kind of general way to say it, and it doesn't often give the listener something to take action on, right? What's good, you know, they might not get back to you right away. So one of the best things is for this in an email is who uses Google Calendar. Great. So I love it when people actually email me and say, hey Vicki, I need to speak with you for 30 minutes on Tuesday. I'm sending you an email invite, and that way it's either a yes or a no. And if you can't do that, please suggest 2 other times. So again, it just makes the request a little more fluid, and we now know that we want to take action with this person. Conditions of satisfaction, just the facts, man. So what are the specifics that we are looking for? Are we detailed in every single thing that we're looking for? If I ask someone to plan a birthday party for my son, am I being specific with them? I want balloons, I want a cake, or do I just say, plan a jungle theme for my son's birthday and go with it? You know, how specific are those conditions of satisfaction that I'm giving to my listener so that they are able to complete it in a way where I'll be satisfied? All right, the mood of the request. Ooh, this is a big one. What type of mood are we coming from? Am I coming from a mood of, I demand you to make this request? Am I coming from a mood of apology, like, oh, I know you're really busy and you probably don't want to do this, but if you could, I'd be so appreciated. So where am I? Like, what is my mood of when I'm making that request? Because how that listener is hearing is a huge factor in whether or not they want to do something for you. And lastly, sincerity. This has to do with trust. We're more likely to do something for someone we trust, and less likely to do something for someone we don't have that bond with. All right. So, do we want to be right or do we want to be happy? Sometimes I think, and this is true in my life, we resist making requests or do not make a request because we think the other person should already know, or that the person should just perform the behavior on their own out of common sense. So for instance, the other night I was home and I was in the kitchen with my husband, and when I said, gosh, that garbage is getting full and it's starting to smell a bit. Well, the next morning I wake up and the garbage is still there, full and really smelly. Like, didn't he understand that I wanted that garbage taken out? I didn't make a request. And oftentimes, though, with this, if we're not really asking for what we need or what we think the other person should already know, that can result in a lot of resentment. So especially, let's say, in organizations, when a manager asks his employee to do something for him, and maybe the manager or the employee thinks that I can't say no to you, or this guy's kind of a bully, he doesn't think he can decline or make a counteroffer. Well, then he's going to start building up resentments, and oftentimes that's one of the biggest breakdowns in organizations, because people end up quitting because they think their boss is a jerk because they can't say no to their boss because of some fear that they have. So when we make an effective request, we ask clearly for what we want and get the results we want to produce. The result is satisfaction. Now let me ask you this. Why do you think this is important? Any ideas?
I think that whole part about the resentment, if it's clear, I mean, if you start feeling like you're part of the process, then you are a lot more happy to be engaged, and things usually work out much better.
Right. Exactly. Any other thoughts? All right, let's put it to the test, shall we? All right, we're going to do a quick exercise here. And what I'm going to ask you to do is break into groups of 2. And one of you will be partner A, and one of you will be partner B, and you'll switch roles. And what I would like is, I want partner A to make a request of partner B. And I want partner B to listen to the request And partner A, please make the request as you normally would do it. And I want partner B to listen to the request and hear and see what elements might be missing. And then, at the end, partner A, what do you notice is the impact of having missing elements of making effective requests in your life? So we'll have a discussion between the two of you, and then we'll bring it back together and we'll have some closing thoughts. All right, go ahead and break.